Welcome back to episode 2 of Braves Bullpen. Hello, everybody. I'm Ryan Siegel, joined alongside with Gardie and Gardie, we're a week later now. We are getting close to middle of May, which is unbelievable to say. And the Braves stay in the course, 5-1 in their last 6 games, picking up a 2-game sweep of the Boston Red Sox, taking 2 of 3 against the Mets, and then winning last night at Truist Park against the Chicago Cubs. And Gardie, we kind of talked about it, getting production from players that you wouldn't expect seems to be the MO of the Braves year over year over year. Last year, we were talking about the bottom of the order, the 7, 8, 9, the Michael Harris's, um, Orlando Arcia, and again, that bottom 7, 8, 9. Now it's Jared Kelenic.
Yeah, and he's a guy that hasn't really produced across his career what he did in Seattle. We got him for cheap as part of a salary dump that the Mariners wanted to do. So we're paying him, I think, $800,000. And he's filling in there in left field, hitting well, hitting a timely home run a couple days ago. And you have another guy in Zach Short who's filling in for Austin Riley at third base right now. We can get into Austin Riley in a little bit. But a guy who's a career 063 or 129 hitter hits a big double to score the first run of the game yesterday, and start off a good home stand against the Cubs. And again, as you said, it's year over year the same thing. Finding these pieces, or Alex Anthopoulos finding these pieces, and then them, especially with the culture that the Braves have built and the talent that they have, being able to step up in big time roles where they might not have been able to do that on other ball clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like you mentioned, Zach Short coming in for the injured Austin Riley. Austin Riley leaving Sunday's 4-3 loss against the New York Mets with left side tightness. An MRI revealed that he had inflammation. Um, Personally, that is the most baseball injury, but hoping for a speedy recovery. He's listed as day to day. And speaking of more injury news, Sean Murphy continues to hit off a tee. The hope and target timeline is the end of the month for the Braves all-star catcher to be back in their lineup. But Gardie, again, obviously it's a first couple games here for Zach Short, immediately making an impact. And again, that it continues that ethos of guys you never heard of picking up big time production.
Yeah, and also the thing is that right now we're sitting here May 14th. We were 25-12 last year as a team. So we've played, yeah, it's one more loss, but it's because we played one more game. And as we mentioned last week, you can't win the World Series in May, but you sure as hell can lose it. And seeing that, Austin Riley's out with something that most people just wake up with on a day-to-day basis. Ronald Acuna Jr. has apparently forgotten to hit the ball currently. Matt Olson wasn't looking like the 50 ding dong guy that he was, but he's starting to turn it around over the last week. And so you're doing it now and you're still where we were last year when we came out hot out of the gates. And you're getting it from these smaller guys. And so that's a huge positive too, when you think about it, because if we're sitting here June 14th or July 14th and saying, dang, Ronald Acuna Jr. just still hasn't figured out how to, get on base the way he's known to do, that's going to be a problem, but it's not right now. And it actually then gives guys like Ronald Acuna Jr. more time to, focus on their swing, look at the video. Oh, hey, I'm dropping my hip slot a little too much, something like that, and not feel pressure to have to right the ship immediately because they are continuing to win baseball games.
Absolutely. But speaking of guys that have been righting the ship immediately, Chris Sale, dipping into the fountain of youth back when he was an American League Cy Young winner with the Boston Red Sox, just this past weekend against the New York Mets, against his old team, the Boston Red Sox. 6 innings, 6 hits, no runs, 10 strikeouts. Gardie, we talk about it. There is something in the water in Atlanta with these starting pitchers where they're able to dip into the fountain of youth year over year over year. And if you look at from a statistics standpoint, all of their kind of star pitchers right now, 30 years and older. Bryce Elder, obviously a little bit slower out of the gate as the lone 25-year-old, but Max Fried with a 3.57 ERA, a 3-1 record in 8 games. Charlie Morton, again, hasn't lost a start yet. Chris Sale, 5-1, already well on track to potentially dipping into the fountain of youth and being a 20-game winner. Gardie, again, pitching really dipping into the fountain of youth here.
Yeah, and you look at Chris Sale, it's 52 strikeouts in the season so far. That puts him only 18th on the major league standings right now. But he's also pitched at least one, if not two, fewer games than every single person in front of him. And 2.95 ERA for a 35-year-old with 52 Ks. That's a great stat line, and he's doing a good job. He's almost he's a 6 innings a game guy too, which that's all you need in today's major leagues. So that also kind of gives me hope that this can be sustained as it has been with other guys, because if you're just asking Chris Sale to go 6 innings, not 7 or 8 right now, that means he's going to have more innings in the tank later on in the season.
Absolutely. And again, once we talk about the bullpen, your good friend AJ Minter blowing a lead, giving up 2 runs late to the Mets in that lone 4-3 loss in the past 6 weeks, or in the past 6 games, excuse me. But Gardie, again, starting pitching, carrying the mail once again for the bullpen.
Yeah, and I know Pierce Johnson was supposed to be one of those guys to help our bullpen who got hurt, which we talked about last time, but he is starting to pitch off a mound again. He should be back, I think, in a rough time span as Sean Murphy. And so, yeah, and who knows? I feel like we say this and we've talked about this now for 3 years, but is this the year Anthopoulos actually maybe goes out at the end of the deadline and picks up a big reliever? If that still is what we're talking about by the end of July, because 5-1. How did we lose that game? We didn't lose. Our starter didn't lose it. Our bullpen lost it. That's been something I've been parroting for 3 years, and it is the kind of the crux. And I think that's also why you see us not perform as well in the postseason against some of these, specifically the Philadelphia Phillies the last 2 years, because they feasted off of our bullpen.
Absolutely. And spinning back more towards next week, and obviously looking ahead, seeing if that bullpen has a chance this week to rebound. The Braves finish up these next 2 games against the Chicago Cubs before hosting the San Diego Padres, before going to Wrigley Field and then Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and their new shiny new toy, Paul Skeens, who made his debut this past week in the MLB. But Gardie, I wanted to spin to something a little bit more interesting that we read about and talked about pre-show. And that's been the Braves' attendance thus far in the first 18 games. The Atlanta Braves are averaging 37,941 people attending per game over their 18 home games. That is good for 5th best in the major leagues. It is 4th best in the National League, sitting behind the Dodgers, the San Diego Padres, the Philadelphia Phillies, the New York Yankees. And currently, that is a year-over-year difference of 14,000 people total and a, I guess, lower number of 800 people per game. But Gardie, again, looking at just kind of performance, even with people that not necessarily expected to perform the way they are, people are still coming to games because they continue to be competitive and continue to win baseball games.
Oh, hell yeah. Hey, we had to talk about it. We're a fan show, so it makes sense that we talk about how well our fans are doing. And here's a crazy one though. Looking at that schedule ahead, who the hell's going to a Monday, May 20th game against San Diego at 12 o'clock in the afternoon? And better yet, who scheduled that game? Like, it's not Memorial Day. Like, it's 10 days before Memorial Day. Like, who's gonna go to that game? But anyway, yeah, no. Our lowest home game attendance so far this season was 31,500 people, which is still good for filling up 76% of the ballpark. And you think about it, if I were a player and some of these, more pieces off the scrap heap, for lack of a better term, knowing that that's what I'm going to show up to the ballpark at home with day in, day out, with fans that are supporting me that aren't, being New York fans or Philadelphia fans, where maybe they're booing you in an Alec Boehm situation. But that would bring me hope as as someone like Ronald Acuna Jr., that he knows that he has support even when he's not doing so well.
Yeah, the Braves capacity at Truist Park, 41,084. So most of the stadium is packed game over game. I think that average is going to take a little bit of a dip here on the May 20th game against the San Diego Padres. That is definitely a getaway game for San Diego. Um, but with that, again, all signs kind of on, up and to the right here for the Atlanta Braves. It will be a very interesting year, and we'll be with you through it all. We want to hear from you. Like Gardie mentioned, we are a fan show, whether in Truist Park or out of Truist Park, at home
On the
or
road.
on the road. We want to hear from you. We have a good story. Maybe we'll have you on. And again, the offer still stands. I want to know who knows somebody with Quikrete.
Damn
We
right.
are going to keep banging this drum until we get an answer.
Yeah, I don't care if this is like, they say if you stand for nothing, you don't die with anything. This is where I'm taking a stand. What the hell is Quikrete? Show me a receipt. Show me the money.
Show me a work order. Show me something.
You can't even order stuff off their website. So where are you buying it?
And again, Atlanta's colors, red and blue. And this Quikrete logo, bright yellow, right across where this Bauer logo is.
Yeah.
Bright yellow.
Am I the only one who thinks it kind of looks like a knockoff Yellow Pages meets a Goodyear candy bar wrapper?
It could be. It could be.
Just saying.
But that offer is going to stand until we hear from somebody who actually knows something about this company.
Facts.
But with that, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Braves Bullpen. We'll see you next week.
I love you, Bloopy.